Hey folks, Amber Broadway here. Great to see you again. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. It was a tremendous day up here at the resort. We had a little turkey trot in the morning. A friend here, Scott, our Vice President of Resort Operations, ran in his turkey suit. The guy behind the camera, Mark Loudmill, it was really fun. So really nice community event. So I'm here today with Scott and also Todd our snowmaking or slope maintenance manager, so snowmaking and grooming. And we're going to just talk a little bit about snowmaking here. We've got guns going on in the background, how things work at Solitude, some of the ways that we have some challenges or uniqueness, and then things that we're working on to improve and upgrade and make some efficiencies to our system. So Scott, Todd, I'll let you guys kind of bounce back and forth. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how we bring snowmaking online here, our approach, what it looks like, the team, everything.
Start us off? Sure. So, I mean, we set up, we do summer services, and we start getting the guns out on the hill. You know, September 1st is the first summer service, and right from there, we're putting guns on the hill. We've been testing things and flushing systems all summer long. And then our water comes down Big Cottonwood Canyon Creek from Twin Lakes and Lake Mary. We get water out of the creek. It's a love-hate relationship. And
why is that, Todd? What's that love-hate relationship with the creek?
The hate part is the water can be dirty. So you can have dirty water coming down. You could have, say, a small beaver dam break apart, or a log that was stuck come loose, and a lot of silt comes down with it. Silt, no good for pups. That's pretty much the hate. The love is when it's working, it's working. And when it's good water, it's good water. And right now, we're getting some good water.
Yeah, and this year they drained Twin Lakes because public utilities needed to do some work on the dam, so we're getting Lake Mary this year, right?
Yes, correct. 100%.
Yep.
And when they open Lake Mary, that water travels roughly 3 miles before we draw it into our snowmaking system. So you can imagine all the debris flow that comes with that 3-mile carry.
Yeah. So that's really created some challenges here. That's one of the things that makes our system a little more unique. A lot of other resorts will have giant holding ponds. They'll have snowmaking holding ponds. That's just not something that we have. So because of that, the debris, the sediment, the silt in the water clogs up pumps, clogs up filters, just a lot more labor intensive on that end.
Yeah, correct. Filters, nozzles for the guns. It means the guns need to be serviced after they're put in place. So you're right. It's just a lot more work because of the dirty.
So tell our guests a little bit about how do we bring, what is our approach to snowmaking on the hill? Like people may say, well, why aren't you making snow at the top of Eagle right now? So how do you approach that?
Sure. We go Moonbeam and Link to get open. Then we go to Apex. And then we go up to Eagle. It's our kind of third spot. And then after Eagle, we go down the Saw or Summit Access. And then down Altabird to get to Sunrise. So that's the order we do things. You're limited by pressure through pumps. So you can only put water up the hill a certain height until you're limited. So if you're running your lower guns, you might not be able to run your upper guns, and the exact opposite. So that's how we go about it.
And you can see behind us, we're making snow at the bottom of Eagle. We will section off Eagle opening based on water supply, and we'll do it in sections. So even though we're making snow at the bottom right now and not the top, once we get completely off of Apex line, then we'll move those resources, and then we'll just leapfrog our snowmaking system all the way to the top of Eagle. And then we can typically get it done between, 7 and 14 days, right?
Yeah.
From start to finish.
I mean, weather dependent, obviously.
So behind us, we have fan guns, right? And that's pretty much what we have here, right?
Yes.
And so explain, some people ski around other resorts, they'll see stick guns or ground guns. Like, talk to us about why we have these guns and what the pros and cons of them are.
Okay, well, we inherited them, but when conditions are right, I feel like fan guns are the best. They just produce. They can do 100 gallons a minute, where a wand gun can only do 60 gallons a minute.
Right.
So you're getting not quite double, but almost double the capacity. Yeah. There are places we've talked internally about getting some wand guns. And then there are some places that have air and water systems. We just don't have that. So all our guns have an onboard compressor.
Right.
And the onboard compressor supplies the air for the snow gun. So the snow gun is basically it's water, fan, and air.
Yep. And tell our guests a little bit about temperatures, because this is probably one of the things we hear the most. One of the most curiosities is, why aren't you making snow? It's cold out. Why aren't you making snow? So what drives your ability to make snow?
Sure. So first of all, the water. We need water in the food.
Yeah.
Second of all, wet bulb is the magic it's a relationship between humidity and temperature.
Okay.
The magic number of the wet bulb is 28. If you got a 28 wet bulb, you can make snow.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Not really. I mean, it's not going to produce. It'll be snow, but it'll be wet, kind of manky.
Yeah.
As you drop down below 24, you're starting to get better snowmaking conditions on your wet bulb. So you could have, say, a temperature of 32, the humidity 0, and I don't know off the top of my head exactly, but your wet bulb is going to be down in the mid-20s.
Yeah. And unlike other resorts, because we are here in the Salt Lake City watershed, and our friends and partners at Salt Lake City Public Utilities really appreciate that relationship. But we don't put additives into our snowmaking or other places. And what do those additives do?
Those additives allow you to, and I've never personally used them. Maybe you have.
It's called Snowmax. I don't know if there's another company, but basically it's like a bacteria that acts as a nucleator for the crystal to form easier. That's an additive that people will put into their snowmaking. We are, like you said, supplied by Salt Lake County drinking water, so we're in a watershed. We can't do that. And to piggyback on what Todd was saying too, as far as temperature, right? If we're not gonna use our small amount of water allocation during marginal snowmaking temps. We need to capitalize when it's its coldest, and we're going to produce the most natural feeling snow surface, right? If we make at 28 degrees where it's very marginal, then we're going to have a poor skiing product, but we're also not maximizing our water usage, right?
Yeah. And I think that's a good point, because sometimes when people are asking us, the amount of water that we're contracted to use for the city is a set amount. And that's different for every resort in the Cottonwoods, and it's also different for our friends on the Wasatch Back, where they may have a larger quantity of water that they can use, and we don't. So we do have to be very judicious in when we're going to make the snow to have the best results, because we have a very small finite amount.
Right. And on that note, right, we have snowmaking coverage on about 80 acres, right? And 3% of that 80 goes to or 3 acres of that 80 goes to our terrain parks, right? I think we get a lot of questions of, why are you only making snow in the terrain parks? And it's not that it's such a small portion of our snowmaking footprint. But what we also look at from our standpoint is, we're trying to have the longest ski season in the Wasatch, right, or in Utah. And by making snow in the terrain park, it allowed us to hang on to places like Main Street longer in the springtime, right? So we were able to, it's basically like storage for us, the way we look at it. And then when springtime starts melting out, we start farming that snow that is those jump lines and is in that terrain park. So it's like we invest in our snowmaking in the terrain parks, because it will help the longevity of our ski season.
I think it's important to talk about how we did the terrain park too. We started an easy street because people like to ski the terrain park, right? It's fun for the kids. Then we moved it, right? So as soon as we had enough space, we moved it off to Upper Two Dudes, and we gave it a little park there just to make the beginner terrain more friendly.
Right.
We'll eventually move to Main Street, but if you're out right now, you know the guns aren't even in the Main Street terrain park, because we're concentrating on Eagle lifts. Eventually, we'll build into another terrain park, but the lifts come first.
Right, and I think to clarify, our approach to snowmaking is always to get the ski and ride terrain first before the terrain parks. So let's talk a little bit, really want to give a big shout out, Todd, to you and your team. We've run a very lean, small team here. We're really staffed for 2 shifts, even though we're running 3. A lot of that is as we're growing and trying to figure out how to be more successful, is what are the staffing resources we need. It's a pretty short snowmaking window here, though, right? Relatively, basically
mid-October to end of December, basically.
Yeah, it's almost just 2.5 months. Some of the snowmaking teams in the East, they will run 3-4 months because they have to. So we're working on that. But I want to just say a big shout out to you and your team. They're out at night, they're moving guns around, they're dealing with the hoses and connections, and it's cold and it's frustrating, and things get clogged and frozen,
And they're wet.
and they're wet. And so a lot of our guests, you can't see these team members because they work in ways that are not super visible, but I hope that you're just sending lots of positive vibes and virtual high fives to them because they are a great group of people and really help us get our mountain open early for you. So let's just maybe circle back and then finish up. We've been talking about our snowmaking projects and efficiency. So let's just, what are we trying to do here to make this system better?
So we've added filtration systems between the creek and our pump house to kind of filter out that debris. Todd has been talking to the snowmaking manufacturers about getting on board, on gun filtration systems as well. And then we're looking at long-term, potentially drawing our snowmaking system directly from Twin Lakes through a 16-inch pipeline. So, you have anything to add to that?
No, basically that's it. I mean, the 16-inch pipeline would be great. We're hoping it happens. A lot of permits in this area. So once the permits get situated, we're hoping to have a cleaner water source. And if we have a cleaner water source, more volume, we'll be able to open things up faster for our skiing public.
Yeah, so really working on cleaner water source, our pump and pressure capabilities, and then we are going to look at what can we do to add in new pipelines and new guns for larger acreage of snowmaking coverage. And so that takes a long time. It's really important here in the watershed. There's lots of things that we have to do to make sure that our work is compliant. So it takes a while. Those projects are still in flight. We really appreciate, again, our partners down at Public Utilities. And we should hopefully see some work on that next summer, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so there's a little bit of the insights on snowmaking. Really big shout out to you. Thank you, Scott and Todd, and your teams. And then just want to remind you, we are celebrating with all of the Alterra Mountain Company resorts Kids Ski Free Week, December 7th through 13th. Kids 12 and under ski free. We are also offering 50% off beginner lessons during that time period. So, hey, moms, dads, kids out there, if you haven't been up here in a while, this is an awesome time to come up, grab a couple of free tickets, get out on the hill and take some turns. Early December is a wonderful time to learn to ski and ride. It's beautiful, it's sunny, it's not crazy cold yet. So I hope you'll come up and join us. I'll see you in a couple weeks on the hill.